Hi again, my name is Jessica Mason, and this is the service learning presentation for my clinical and counseling course. For this presentation, I will be elaborating on my experience over at Retama Manor. It is an assisted living home over in Harlingen, Texas. And through that, I will actually be applying reality therapy to the individual who I had mainly interacted with during my time there. So over at Retama Manor when I was there, I had 2 visits. Each one lasted about 2.5 to 3 hours long. The first day, I was manicurist for the day, and let me just say, it's really interesting because I've gotten manicures before, and I know during that experience, people kind of, naturally tend to open up to you. Well, doing this, I kind of realized, hey, this is actually a pretty unique way to get people to interact with you and communicate with you, and it really was. I had engaged with about 3 or 4 individuals mainly over the course of 1 hour there, and variously, filed nails, did cuticles, and painted or repainted their nails whichever color they'd like. I actually was able to give a manicure to a woman who was 101 years old. She had actually just turned 101 3 days prior to me going there, and I had asked her if she'd had a good birthday and everything else, and she's like, whatever. She was a pretty cool person. During that, I also met Juan. He was a very unique individual too, very boisterous, very charismatic. And during my second day, which was on April 27th, we were actually making Mother's Day cards together, or basic ones that could be filled out for different residents who were there. While I was also there, I introduced everybody to YouTube University. They definitely got a kick out of that. One woman actually had looked up how to do stir fry. And just randomly, she's like, look up stir fry. And so she was able to learn a lot from that. On the one iPad that they have there that the residents can kind of utilize. It's something new, I guess, they're trying there with the iPads. So, ethics and professionalism, I would definitely say avoiding harm as far as ethical standards go. I made sure I was, trying to be a pleasant air about me there. I definitely was not trying to step on any toes. I was trying to be very nice. I wasn't trying to pry into anybody. I was just kind of letting people talk to me, and maintaining confidentiality. I know I had said about, Don Juan, but since he's going to be the subject, his name or first name going in quotes kind of plays into his story. Multicultural competency-bended beliefs. I was very comfortable with the differences that existed between myself and others. There was an age gap, there was different cultural beliefs. I live in an area where the Hispanic population is great, and it greatly influences this area. I also made sure I was respectful of religious and spiritual beliefs of others. You had Christians, Catholics, there were some Methodists, Lutherans, we had some agnostics. There were 2 atheists there, believe it or not, and they actually hung out together a lot. We were watching Lonesome Dove. That was pretty interesting. Valuing bilingualism, there's a lot of people there, obviously, that speak Spanish. A lot of people that actually immigrated here from Mexico. So you definitely hear, the richness in their speech from where they were from. And being aware and sensitive to my own heritage and valuing and respecting the differences between my background and their background. As far as knowledge goes, being comfortable with, the differences that exist between myself and others, knowledgeable about social impact and communication style. Again, I was not trying to pry or anything into anybody, just kind of letting them talk to me. Being knowledgeable with groups one works with or interacts with. I kind of already had that knowledge that the majority of people that were over at Retama Manor had a lot of Hispanic heritage. and also knowing the effects and institutional barriers. I know as far as guys go, a lot of them kind of have this needing to take care of everything, needing to have this strong front, not really wanting to, open up as easily as women. And actually, I was very surprised in how well received I was when I was there. As far as skills, being involved with minority groups outside of the work role, community events, celebrations, neighbors, and so forth, can take responsibility to provide linguistic competence for clients. There was one woman there who was 89 years old. She was kind of one of those where sometimes, or she had some issues finding words sometimes. So I just tried to help her along as much as possible, not rushing her, trying to seem like I didn't care, and works to eliminate bias, prejudice, and discrimination. That's just kind of, there are some people who live down here who always believe that if you live down here, you speak Spanish and English, that you are bilingual. There were a few residents there, who only spoke English. They were from up north, like Kansas and Michigan. And so, I just was kind of like, when one of the residents had said something in regards to, well, if you live down here, you should speak Spanish. I just, politely said, well, they weren't really from down here. They never really had that opportunity, other than this last 5-6 years that they were here. And they actually, as soon as they moved down, moved directly into the nursing home. So going into the gentleman I met with, Don Juan, he was a 72-year-old Vietnam veteran who was a lifelong South Texas resident, except for when he was in the Army. He was a medic. He said that exposed him to a lot doing that. And additionally, he said that pretty much everybody just sent him where he needed to go. He has 3 children, 2 girls and 1 boy. The boy is the youngest. He said if he would have had the boy first, he probably would have just stopped there, but he says his girls are the love of his life. He married at 27, and he's currently contemplating whether or not he should file for divorce from his wife. Obviously, they've been married a long time, but recently have been kind of running into more severe problems in their marriage. He is a double amputee and a type 2 diabetic. He was also exposed to Agent Orange during the Vietnam War, which kind of seems like it's brought on a few other problems for him. For instance, he is having heart surgery coming up, and he had to have some of his veins cleaned out through a very interesting process. So going on with, Don Juan, he caught his wife in an affair a few years back, and he kind of became depressed and unsure about how to address the problem. Shortly after the incident, his diabetes took a turn for the worse, and he had to have both of his legs removed at that point. And he had to have heart surgery at the same time, which he has to have again coming up. At this point, he began to stay at Retama Manor 1 year ago, and he greatly missed, his home, which was a complete other county over, so it wasn't like he was really living near there. And last Thanksgiving, when his wife came to visit him, he was given the clear by the doctors to go ahead and go home for the weekend and enjoy time with his family and everything, just not to overdo it as far as physical activity. And when he had told his wife laughed at him and said, well, I don't know who you think is going to take care of you. I'm not going to take care of you. And so at this point, he kind of laughed, thinking that she was joking. Well, then she left a while later and came back, or she left a while later and she didn't come back. And then he was like, oh, she was actually serious. And that really hurt him. And he spoke about this with his kids. And, he had said about, the affair and everything else, which his kids were actually aware of the affair going on between the mom and somebody else. And at which point Don Juan said, well, I'm just going to divorce her. And the kids actually gave him their blessing in order to, if he did want to actually go through a divorce. His wife stopped visiting him since last Thanksgiving, and he's been kind of lonesome since then, and being all of his kids actually don't live in this area. It was very good for him that, the local VA actually does support him and has a lot of visitors that come and check in on him and play games with him, stuff like that, and he really does enjoy that interaction. So conceptualizing the case of Don Juan, the cause of his problems was trouble with his marriage of wife with his wife for 45 years. The affair was definitely the problem, where the problem originated. So the theory application, choice theory, you have self-preservation, love and belonging, inner control, independence, enjoyment. He wants to be in a living relationship, but currently residing in a nursing home. While he likes a woman that actually does live at the nursing home, he won't pursue anything with her until the divorce goes through. He wasn't raised that way. He was raised, a good Catholic boy with a moral upbringing, and he can't really go against that. His behaviors are not achieving the results that he would like, being, he's not divorced. He's not going to pursue anything with a relationship, and he's not going to get that love that he really desires. So that's going into the therapy technique. So the plan would be, he would speak with the divorce attorney and pursue divorce, even though he's still in the nursing home, because, he can possibly find somebody there or find somebody somewhere else. Who knows? You can find love at any age nowadays. When I was there, I have to say one of the most important things that I came to was the process of applying a theory to an individual in a real life setting. You literally are starting from scratch, so you're learning and you're observing, and you're kind of seeing, okay, where can I apply this to what theory? The second thing I learned that was really important was the overall quality of the activities program. It was really kind of concerning for me because this is a program that gives the residents there something to do. They really can't go too many places or do too many things. Activity is something that they do look forward to, and there was a very big lack of planning as far as the activities actually went. The first day I was there, the fancy nails, that was just something that was there. They had the stuff for it. It was all ready to go. It was something that goes on every Friday. But then the following time when I had visited, they didn't even know what they were going to do. They had it labeled arts and crafts because that's what was supposed to be on Monday, but they didn't plan any arts and crafts for it. It had started about a half hour late. It was only supposed to be really an hour long for it, and by the time the first half hour was over and they got the supplies over there, everything finally decided, or once the director finally decided what he wanted to do, there really wasn't that long of a time that was allotted for the actual crafts. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed my presentation, and good luck, everybody.